Hi guys, Tugu here with a new video, and this video is a mini guide for arms warriors that really wants to crit very heavily, but also just want to have fun. And yes, this build is probably not going to work at higher MMR, but if you want to have fun, you want to play BGs, you want to play arena, solo shuffle 2v2, 3v3, and you want to actually see big crits, and you want to actually see like the damage that I'm actually doing, like for example on videos I do like 300k, and those are really rare crits. But with this build, the crits are way more often, and sometimes choosing for fun is something you should more often do, because again, it's a video game and you want to prioritize fun over everything. Now I want to talk about first the stats I should go for if you want to copy the amount of damage I do. You should also copy the build. I will list two builds in the description, but also in the comments, I think. I'll for sure in the description, and I will also talk point per point what you should need to do the biggest amount of damage. You saw it at the intro. We do a lot of damage. Of course, on a dummy, it will always be higher than on a player, but on a player, if you manage to do crits, it will really go like into higher numbers. Also, again, big disclaimer, it is cheesy a bit because people can just use a defensive. But again, I think rogues have that, elemental shaman has that, I would say warlocks going full mastery without rifts has that as well. So why not have the same for arms warriors? Again, if you like those kinds of videos, please do like the video and also comment below what you think about the video. Now let's talk about the stats. And we are going for, again, we are a human, so we have two double trinket, and you should actually buy the, I'm gonna buy the crit one, because I do like haste, but I'm gonna buy the crit one, because I want to have even more damage. So it's the first time I will have that. I think it will be even more damage than at the start of the video, but we will have more crit. So you should actually go for those kinds of trinkets. I'm gonna verify really quickly if I have the right macros. I'm also going to talk about the macros as well. It's on CD, but whatever. So let's start right away and talk about the important stuff, the stats. What stats should you go for as an arms warrior? To be honest, I play those stats anyways. It's not like it's specific for this video. I think arms warrior kind of want a lot of mastery and enough haste to do well, but also you want to prioritize a bit of versatility. You want still to be above 30%. So let's talk briefly about the stats and embellishments I'm going for right now. So we have, first and foremost, we have the foreset, which is big. Not for the rend damage, because this build is not about rend damage, but you still want to apply rend on everyone, so you could have more sudden deaths. And execute actually crits and hits for a lot. So this build will also give you a lot of big execute damage. So we take the head. We are taking the verdant conduit on our shoulders as an embellishment and haste mastery, because we have plenty of versatility on the foresets. You don't really need more versatility. So I do haste mastery on my shoulders. I should also change my back, but to be honest, I would go for versatility haste to get like the threshold I want for haste. I would also take the chest tier set. Again, nothing different, like haste mastery is such a good stat. I would say spread for arms warriors that you should go for the chest. We have also versatility mastery on the braces. We have a haste versatility on the hands. Again, versatility is really nice, and haste is also not a bad stat for arms warrior. Versatility mastery on your belt, haste versatility on your legs because of the foreset. Again, a very good piece. And then we have versatility mastery with metal on your boots, which again will give you a lot more damage, and that is actually what you're looking for if you want to do the biggest amount of damage possible. We have haste mastery on our finger, which we made. We need to gem it still, but I'm very, very lazy. Versatility mastery on the other finger, again, to get above 30%. You could also make versatility mastery if you really want to as a crafted piece, but you will miss like 2%, I think 1% of versatility, and I prefer to just be clean and have above 30%. We also play with double trinket if you're an orc. It doesn't matter because you have Blood Fury, which is something that is going to add damage anyway. So you could have the Trinket, which will give you base strength, and then you will have the unused. I would play with the unused with this build, but you will miss some haste. So I would take the unused, the haste one that I had right now. So I would have the haste with primary stat. You will lose a bit of primary stat on the unused, but you kind of need the little bit of haste that you want. I'm going to go in combat so you see my real stats. So if I'm going in combat, I have 30% versatility, which is very nice, 40% mastery, 24% haste, because we did change our trinket. I think we were like very close of 30% haste, and 18% critical strike, which again, in this build, if you crit, you're going to murder someone. If it's a mage, you are going to murder him. If it's a DK, you're going to murder him. If it's a Retribution Paladin that doesn't pop CDs, you are going to murder him. So let's talk about the build now. I have two builds, and I've been playing a bit with this build, and I'm playing with Spiteful Serenity, but let's talk build like place per place, what I'm talking about, and what's up with everything. So on the class tree, it's a very classical class tree. Intervene, because you want to mobility. Even if you're playing versus casters, I would still play with Intervene because of the extra mobility you could have. If you're like rooted or whatever, you could always like join your partner into the fray. For example, if you're playing with a Havoc Demon Hunter in Soul Shuffle, Rallying Cry, I think it's again something you want anyways. Everything is something you want. There is like a point that you could flex, but it's very difficult to justify it every single time, and that would be to remove, for example, Blood and Thunder and just play with Ren, so you also remove Thunderclap, which to be honest, I don't like that, because I like to spread my Rend, but if you do remove it, you can then play with Cacophonious Roar, and you could actually just do damage while someone is feared. It looks like a big stun. They buffed fears for every single class, and they didn't touch that talent, so basically someone is really stunned in that fear while you're doing damage. It doesn't break that easily. You have like 2 or 3 seconds while you're feared, and you actually do the damage. So that's actually very impressive, but I feel like it's cheesy. I don't use my fear for damage. I use my fear for CC or for defensive purposes, so I don't really play that too much. And again, not often my fears are getting broken. It's often because of Tremor or because of a trinket. But again, if you want to play that and you want to cheese someone in BGs or in arenas, you do you. Personally, I don't do that. I prefer to have Blood and Thunder so I can actually like play around my... what did I remove? I removed something extra. Wait, I wanted to do that. Okay, so you could like remove this Blood and Thunder and get a Cacophonious Roar, but again, Thunderclap is so good for spreading your rends, and you're not playing with Bloodletting, so rend applications are not as easy with... You cannot do that with Moorstrike, right? So anyways, we are playing with Warlock's Torment. Yes, it is not double Blade Storm. It is cheesy, but I love the cheese, and some people do love cheese. I love like all kinds of cheese, and this is the best kind. This is the kind where you're going to giggle whenever it works in PvP, and you're going to laugh your ass off whenever you're deleting a Frost Mage and then he types, "Oh my god, what the hell?" That is the kind of cheese I like. So Warlock's Torment gives you like basically 20% crit extra. So as you saw, I have like 17%, 18% in PvP, plus 20%. That gives you enough to actually crit the few things that you actually need. Again, you're going to be a bit disappointed whenever you're not critting. It is just what it is. So also try to not use it when you're playing versus a hunter that still has Roar. If he has Roar of Sacrifice, it really sucks. But again, versus other like specs, you could actually do a lot of damage. So this is going to enable your crits. This is going to enable your big crits. Champions Might, again, they changed the name, so be sure to change it in your macros. Gives you 15% critical strike damage increased and also a duration of 2 seconds. It's written 25%, but it's nerfed in PvP. I wish they actually unnerf it because, to be honest, nobody's playing Spear of Bastion. I mean, Champion Spear now. What a silly name, but whatever. They could, yeah, I guess Bastion is Shadowlands. They want to just forget about it, but whatever. It does a lot of damage, to be honest. Like the instant you're doing the Spear of Bastion, it's going to drop their HP. They're going to use a CD. The issue with this build, and you will see, is people are using CDs. They are not dumb. So that's why you have to be a bit sneaky. Sometimes you gotta hold your CDs off, let the people use their CDs for your partner. For example, if you play with a windwalker or a demon hunter or a Retribution Paladin, they're going to use a CD regardless. After they use Ashra Shift, for example, for Elemental Shaman, or they used, I don't know, whatever CD, like Iceborne Fortitude, you can bait it with a Stormbolt, for example. They're going to pop Iceborne Fortitude because they're dumb. They're going to do that. And then you're going to do your whole rotation whenever they are gone with the Iceborne Fortitude, for example. So this is going to enable the damage. This is just a pet peeve of mine. You could also play with Shockwave. To be honest, I don't really care about Shockwave. Like, often, because there is too many AoE like stuns. So often not you play with a Havoc Demon Hunter, or you play with a Rogue where you actually don't want to stun, or you play with whatever AoE stun like Windwalker or whatever they have, or you play with a Frost Decay so you don't want to actually AoE stun anyways. You have multiple situations where you don't really want Shockwave. Yes, Shockwave is interesting to stop a cast, for example, but you don't always want to do that. But if you really want to do that, do you. You can remove Piercing Challenge. You will have a lot less damage on Spear of Bastion, I'm going to be honest. But yeah, that's an option. To be honest, I like Champion Spear like being increased, like the damage, because let's be honest, everyone loves damage, and this build is around damage. So again, if you don't want to min max too much on the utility part with this build is going to win you games that you should not be able to win. Let's be honest. But whatever. This is going to be very fun. We also have two-handed weapon. Again, it's increased damage. We want everything that increases damage. Now we're going on the spec tree, which is interesting. We have a thing that is actually an anomaly. Nobody takes that, but I actually play around it, and I kind of like it because I often get CC'd out, rooted out, snared, run away, like people run away from an avatar, for example. And this Spiteful Serenity increases the duration for avatar and Colossus Smash by 100%. Instead of like lowering the CD of Colossus Smash, you actually increase the duration of Colossus Smash. The spike damage is a bit lower, so I'm going to show you the two builds. This is like the build where, let's say you're playing versus casters, and you don't have a lot of uptime. You want to have maybe more uptime, and you want to have not of CD wasted. You could play around that. But I'm going to be honest, it is not meta. It's something I'm playing around still. I don't know if I'm going to play a lot with this. It does increase your damage a bit less. You're losing, like, let's say, 40% on Colossus Smash. It was 30%. And you're also losing 12% on your avatar, which it is now 12% instead of 20%. It's something you lose, but at the end you get a lot more value, I would say, or over time you're going to burst for way longer. But again, do you really want to burst longer with this build, or do you want to burst whenever you have a Spear of Bastion? So that's another like thing, but we'll have to see. Again, I'm going to show you the both the builds. I like this, but I'm like not 100% sold on it, right? We're not playing around bleeds. I still have like 1 point on Bloodborne because, I mean, there is nothing else that I can take that actually increases my damage. Skull Splitter is not worth it at the moment. Fueled by Violence is interesting, but it's like really passive healing. It doesn't do too much. Overall, like Storm of Swords is a bait. Whirlwind does less damage than a More Strike, so there is no real occasion where you want to do a Whirlwind instead of a More Strike, especially if you have that many resets for More Strike with your overpowers or whatever you can actually do. You could also play with strength of arms if you really want to do increased damage on overpower instead of sweeping strikes. I do like sweeping strikes because again, if you're doing a sweeping strikes into a spear of bashing with your go, you're going to cleave for a long time, and people are like going to hurt. They need to run away from you. I have 1 point into critical thinking, and there is no way to get another point here, because again, you could lose fatality if you want to, and do this. That's also an option. But I don't feel like it's like that big. So I'm going to take just 1 point on critical thinking. Yes, you could also just remove this and go for bloodletting. It is going to smooth out the rotation for you. It's only 3 seconds longer in PvP. It's like nerfed by half, and also like a bit of crit strike chance for like your bleeds. But you're not playing around Thunder's Roar anyway, so you also lose value on that. And your rand applications with your foresight, you get like rand applications every single time you're going to do an execute with sudden death, so it's not going to be that important. So I'm going to play around that. Overall, we also play still with Hurricane. This is going to increase your strength. I'm going to be honest, this is going to give you the oomph needed to do a big crit and like decimate someone. But it's also very, very noticeable that you're going to do that. So you have to play around it, try to do it whenever someone is CC'd or whatever, so they don't stop you. Have a trinket ready just in case if they're going to CC you. You're going to be very sad whenever you're not going to be able to land your Hurricane. That's why you're play storing first, and if they do CC you, you can always hold your CDs, right? Because they're going to spend a CD anyways. So you can always hold your CDs and then do it again like 1 minute later or like a bit sooner, depending. Again, if you have anger management, you should have like a Blaze Storm every 35 seconds, something like that. If you're not playing around that, you're going to play around Spiteful Serenity. It's really a bit less interesting for you to get CC'd outside of Bloodstorm. So again, you have to play around your strength, and that's why you have to be also very, very smart on target calling and target choosing whenever you're going for the one-shot. But this is going to help you to do the one-shot. Execution's precision, going to increase your damage on more strike. I'm going to be honest, the build the thing I'm going to show you on the dummy, that's pretty much because of execution's precision, like uptime being like 2 stacks. But I'm going to be honest, again, with the sudden death procs and such, it's actually easy to have on at least 1 stack on the enemy before you're going to do the go. If you have 2 stacks and you do your go, you're going to do like insane amount of damage. Fatality is interesting because again, if someone is very low and with the amount of more strike you're doing, if they don't have an immunity to take it off, you often can win the game because of an execute, like having like 8 stacks of fatality and proc everything together. It does a lot of damage. So this is the build. PvP talents, I'm not going to talk about every single PvP talent because again, I have a big guide for that. This is pretty much the one-shot guide and also the fun guide, let's be honest. Storm of Destruction, reduce CD on Blaze Storm. It's also just reduce CD on your goes pretty much. It also snares the target, so he's not going to run away. If it's a druid and he shapeshifts and he gets hit by Blaze Storm, he has to shapeshift a lot of times. It's just the best PvP talent in my opinion. Like if you could always take that, you should always take that, regardless if you play with Blade Moth Torment or Walls Torment. We play with Sharpened Blade, obviously. It's probably your best talent if you really want to be annoying for other healers. If you're playing double DPS and you're facing double DPS, or not, like for example, if you're playing 2v2 with a DPS or a healer, depending on who you're facing, you sometimes don't want to play Sharpened Blade because they are not going to heal anyways, and the increased damage is not going to matter on the long term, because you're going to win with attrition anyways. But versus like a DPS healer or 3v3 or solo shuffle, you should always take Sharpened Blade, in my opinion. Death Sentence, I play that. I try it out, and because of the amount of death sentence you have, a sudden death that you have, you can actually use that as a good charge. But again, it's a bit clunky how it charges. It is clunky, I'm going to be honest. But again, if you're not playing with Death Sentence, Battlefield Commander is still useful, although you don't have Thunder's Roar. It is still useful because of the removes movement impairing effects, but also your cooldown Intimidating Shard, which is also interesting. Your Bursting Howl, which is roots, and also increased stamina on Battle Shot is also very, very nice. Alright, so that is that. Let's talk about the rotation. I'm going to explain it step by step. I'm not going to say what I'm doing while I'm doing it because again, I can't. My English is not bad, but I am also like a bit. I know that whenever I'm playing, I sometimes talk gibberish. So I prefer to show you with Trophy GCD. Above my camera, you see the abilities I'm pressing. So you will see at real time what I'm pressing. Also, the macros will also have that as well. Oh, let's talk about macros first, because that is also very important. We have a burst macro, which is Avatar Colossus Smash. This is not going to work. So I need to remove it, to be honest, but whatever. Avatar Colossus Smash, that is the big thing. So I'm going to use that after I have my Blade Storm. So once I have done Blade Storm, I do Avatar Colossus Smash into my Champion Spear. And my Champion Spear, I don't want to take chances. I have it at player. So it means that it is going to drop at my feet. I'm not going to snipe someone from afar. I'm not going to throw it like this, right? Because often it will miss, and also you have such a small opportunity to do damage, you're going to give them chances to actually use a CD or just get away, because there's a lot of like specs that can just walk away from the champion's spear. I'm going to say Spear of Bastion because it's really annoying. Spear of Bastion, okay? So people are going to run away from Spear of Bastion, so that's why I'm not going to throw it from there. I want to actually, like, I'm here, I'm going to drop the Spear of Bastion onto their faces. So they're not going to run away, you're not going to miss it. Or obviously, you have to be on top of him. Don't try to do it when he's here, because he's not going to get hit. You have to do it whenever you're very, very close. But often if you're charging in and then you're doing or for example you do Blade Storm, Avatar Colossus Smash into a big Storm Bolt, Spear of Bastion, and that's where you do your go. So what you want to do is, first and foremost, you want to stack up your overpowers. You want to do a Thunderclap, so you have a Rent up. You also want to have Executes. Try to overpower every single time. That's your filler, man. This is something you have to press often. If you're not doing that, you're doing double overpower. You have to do that, right? You have to overpower into more strike, into overpower, into more strike, into double overpower, for example, and you're going to do an execute. This is your filler. This has nothing to do with your burst rotation. You want to prepare your double overpowers because that is going to give you a lot of damage. This is nerfed in PvP, it's 30%. That's why I'm going to say that on the dummy you will never do the amount of crits that you're going to do in live gameplay. But even then, even if you're divided it by 2, it's still a lot of damage. And that is if you have nothing like aligned, like all the stars are not aligned. If you have double trinket up, if you have your metal up, if you have your Sophic Devotion up, it doesn't matter how much you're hitting on a dummy, you will hit like a lot of damage on the target itself. Anyways, so we're going to do the burst rotation with Spiteful Serenity. So I'm going to charge in, overpower, execute. I'm going to do another overpower to get rage, execute, Blade Storm, and then I'm going to do Avatar Colossus Smash. Avatar Colossus Smash, Spear of Bastion, Sharpened Blade, big Mortal Strike. I didn't crit, unfortunately, but then you can always use your imagination with the crits, and it does a lot of damage just in general. Like, right now with Spiteful Serenity, my damage is not gone right now. This is like a lot of damage. And it helps to, of course, pull some rage. Pulling some rage means that you want to have rage at the start whenever you're doing it. This is going to help you. Obviously, you want to have multiple rends, you want to have multiple deep wounds, and this is going to just do a lot of damage. And overall, I'm going to show you one more time. Look, I did a 242k normal hit, and then I critted multiple times above 250k, like 200k I would say, because it's an average of 233k. But we did a normal hit of 240k, right? If it actually critted, of course, it's times 175%, but also, just in general, you also need to understand that your Spear of Bastion has a modifier as well, 15%, so it's going to be higher, right? It's going to be around 190% on your crit, so then you have to just add more damage on your 242k, and you will see that it's going to be noticeable. I'm going to show you one more time with Spiteful Serenity, and then I'm going to show you with the normal build, which is the biggest crit possible, right? So I'm going to charge in again, overpower, overpower, execute, execute, blade storm. I'm pulling some rage here, and I'm going to do avatar spear of bastion. Avatar, close to smash, spear of bastion, big damage. I didn't crit again. It is what it is, but at the start of the video, this is the same build, right? I showed you the spear of bastion with the Spiteful Serenity. So again, at the start of the video, you saw the crit that you could do with Spiteful Serenity. Again, it's unfortunate if you don't crit. If you do crit, this is like a lot of damage. We unfortunately don't have like an instant crit, like a fail-safe crit for our More Strike, like a King's Bane or like a Sub-Rogue doing his Cold Blood's secret technique. But this is still like acceptable damage. Notice that since crit is a modifier that is nerfed in PvP, doing normal hit is still something you want to do, and being a higher amount of normal hit is also something you want to do. But overall, you still crit a lot, like it's 50%. Unfortunately, it doesn't crit the things that I want to crit on this video. Now I'm going to show you the anger management, which is probably what other people are going, like most people are going to play, let's be honest. But this is the most damage. I'm going to try to not charge, so we have the metal proc. I think we get metal proc with Champion's Spear. But I'm going to Stormbolt. I'm going to use a Stormbolt before Spear of Bastion. I'm going to do that, right? So I'm going to I'm not going to charge in. I'm going to pull some rage. So I'm going to overpower, execute, and now I'm going to do my Blade Storm now. And I'm going to do Close to Smash Avatar. I'm going to stun into Spear of Bastion, into big... I didn't crit again, man. But whatever, the damage is higher, like normal hit as well. But this is a lot of damage. Unfortunately, like before the video, I actually did a lot of crit even on players. Unfortunately, in the video itself, I just don't crit. I just crit outside of my Spear of Bastion, but it is what it is. And you can see with the anger management, I did 278k normal hit, more strike, which is a lot. Again, if you crit in PvP, this is going to be insane. Like if you crit, it will be even more than that. It doesn't matter if it's a dummy or not. If you crit that, you will be around 350k minimum. And you understand that Arms Warrior is not like a burst heavy spec, but you turn the burst heavy spec into like a consistent damage spec into a burst heavy spec with this build. And execute actually does a lot of damage as well, like 286k, which is also paired with thunderclaps again from your 4 set, which is also helping. Rend damage is very low. It is what it is. I'm not playing around dots here. Deep wounds is also quite low. It is what it is. But our overpowers are like hitting like a truck. More strike is hitting like a truck. Champion Spear critting for 227k. Again, in PvP it's going to be a bit lower, but it's not going to be exceptionally lower. I'm going to show you one more time, and hopefully we do get a crit. So I'm going to do, I'm going to pull some rage here. It takes a bit of time, unfortunately. So we're going to do execute, another overpower into a Blade Storm. I'm going to do a Avatar, a Close to Smash with a Stormbolt. Avatar, Close to Smash, Stormbolt, into a Spear of Bastion, into Sharpened Blade, and it still didn't crit, but whatever. We're doing a lot of damage still. And again, you see the potential of our like spec. I just in general feel like this is like the fun spec, the fun build, the thing that actually made me love World of Warcraft, seeing a lot of crit. Unfortunately, I didn't crit. It is what it is. 257k. It is what it is. If I did crit, it would be higher. If I got like insignia, it will be also higher. But again, this is going to be surprising in game. In game, you're going to, like in arenas or in BGs, you're going to have a lot of damage, like instantly. You would like feel the giggles that I feel whenever I do that. Unfortunately, I cannot show you on video. It seems like I can only do that on the intro. I cannot do that while I'm explaining the build. But hopefully you understand the meaning of the build. Hopefully you understand that the damage is going to be very, very high in general. I do feel like if I want to show you like even better, I'm going to play with the overpower build again. I'm going to do it one more time. If it works, it works. and I'm going to be very happy to show you the crit I'm doing. If it doesn't, like, it doesn't, it is what it is, right? I'm going to charge in, I don't care about the Stormbolt go now. I'm going to execute 2 times. I have my overpower stacks. I'm going to Blade Storm into a Avatar Colossus Smash again. Avatar Colossus Smash into Spear of Bastion into Sharpened Blade. It didn't crit again, it is what it is. We do a lot of damage, I'm going to say, like, this is unhealable. Like, if you manage to do that at the start of the game, they're going to pop all CDs. If you manage to do that whenever CDs are gone, they're going to delete someone. It doesn't matter how, what, whatever. This is going to be, like, unhealable. And you see, like, again, the DPS seems low, like, it's not low. 150k is not low, but it is because I pulled a lot of, like, the consistent damage at the start. We have overpowers, we have executes, we have then the Blade Storm, and then goes the biggest damage, and it would be like the more strike, the executes, the overpowers, and all of this with all the crits is going to do a lot of damage in general. So very nice. I really like that. Personally, this is the build I really love. I'm going to share both builds in the description. Hopefully you do understand the meaning of the build. It is not made for competitive play. You can climb with this build, but trust me, the better the player is, the easier it is to counter it. People are going to use CDs only whenever they see Spear of Bastion. But that's why you have to play with, let's say in social, you have a great DPS with you, like a windwalker that actually scares people off. If he's going to do his go, people are going to use their CDs. You just need to choose your battles. Try to have your double overpowers. Try to have at least 1 stack of execute, if not 2. And then do your Blade Storm into Avatar Colossus Smash, into a Spear of Bastion, into a Sharpened Blade, more strike, and then you're going to do a lot of damage. I'm going to do it last time, please, just last time. Overpower, overpower, execute, execute into a Blade Storm, and then I'm going to do Avatar Colossus Smash. Allez, please. Boom, 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 and it didn't crit, whatever, it is what it is. I might make a social video about this build, so you can also see it in action. Unfortunately, it doesn't want to crit, so it is what it is. Even whenever, like, I'm above 38% crit, it doesn't want to crit. And that's the issue with crit, right? Crit is like a RNG stat. So if you're building around crit, you're going to be very miserable, because this is going to be like an RNG thing, right? If you're not critting, you build for nothing. If you do crit and you're happy, there is a world where you're sacrificing haste for crit. I would not recommend that. I'm going to be honest. Haste does make the gameplay of an Arms Warrior way more interesting. But again, if you want to play like somewhat mastery crit, you can do that. I might make a video about it, since now it's uncapped. I can just do whatever I want. But again, try to play around the build I'm suggesting, try to play around the stats I'm suggesting, and let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Again, if you like those kinds of videos, like fun builds that are actually also working in PvP, maybe a bit less than the normal builds, please do subscribe to the channel and do comment below if you like those kinds of videos, so I can make even more videos about it, about the specs that I play, and about the opportunities you can see in a game. Again, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you. Be sure to stay safe. We will catch each other probably very soon in the next video. Have a great day. Bye.